Great. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to today's interview, where we are going to be discussing how companies can best allocate their remaining annual budgets to help end the year successfully. This can be a very busy time of year for many of us, so hopefully today's discussion can provide some intriguing ideas for how you can work with the team at Band of Coders to utilize your budget during Q4. Joining us today is Senior Architect and Managing Director of the Milwaukee office, Steve Balistreri, who is going to be sharing some great tips and advice for maximizing your remaining budget. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi. So first, tell me a little bit more about your background and your role at Band of Coders, as well as a quick overview of the services Band of Coders can offer.
Sure. So I started my development career maybe about 12 years ago. Worked for a lot of different marketing agencies, working on everything from mobile apps, hybrid mobile apps, web apps, websites, pretty much anything that ran on a computer or a phone, I touched at some point. From there, I started working in research and development for a couple Fortune 500 companies, learned a lot of software development, a lot of really deep, interesting things at those roles. Learned a lot more about how to operate a software development team at scale, and all the things that go into that in those roles. So from there, that led me to working for Band of Coders and becoming the managing director of the Milwaukee office. So in my role as managing director here, I basically oversee all the teams on all of our projects, make sure that clients are getting what they need, make sure that the development team is getting what they need from the clients, making sure those relationships and partnerships run real smooth.
Great. So as we think about Q4, why is that time such a critical time for your current customers, especially those in the IT space?
Sure. So, what I see a lot towards the end of the year is companies, different departments, software development teams within companies, they look at their budget for the year and they have a lot left over. Or, they have enough left over where they're worried that they're going to lose that in next year's budget. So this could really be an incredible time to use that remaining budget to make sure you don't lose it for the next year, to start planning new products, finishing features that you just couldn't get to during the rest of the year. Even things like addressing technical debt or maintenance issues. Really good times to use that budget.
Great. So now when companies are ready, how should they approach Q4 planning with Band of Coders?
Sure. So I would say the first step is getting on a call with us. Talk to us and let's look over your existing roadmap, start discussing new solutions, any changes to your company's goals that, from the beginning of the year to Q4, let's talk about how that looked. As always, we'll try to make sure to keep your priorities in focus, course correct when you learn something new. We're agile. We want to be agile with you and help your team be more agile with, addressing the changing needs within your business.
So as customers start thinking through, you've provided some great initial suggestions and they start thinking about what to do that works for them. Are there any trends that you've seen this year that you've been able to help businesses execute?
Sure. So one of the things that we get a lot of people asking us about is using AI and machine learning. And a lot of the times they're looking into customer sentiment or looking into customer segmentation, things like that, where you have a lot of user data and that there's insight there. That there's things you can learn from your users, from your customers at scale. You just don't have a model for it yet. Or maybe you have a model for it, but you're doing it manually and it's really labor intensive. That's something that we can definitely help with. It can be a long road, but incrementally you can start getting more and more insight quicker, faster, cheaper. And, it can completely change your approach to marketing, to product development with those insights.
So can you provide a little bit more of an example of, what has worked for clients in the past? An example of a company or a case study that has proven to be successful.
Sure, sure. So there's a company in Milwaukee here that we've been working with, Novir. They do COVID testing for schools, businesses, COVID testing at scale on site. And what they needed, right at the beginning of the pandemic, they knew that they had the infrastructure, the skills to do the testing. What they didn't have is an efficient way to provide a portal for patients, a portal for employers and school administrators to see, okay, who do we need to, is there a problem here? What do we need to do? Um, and with the COVID situation evolving so rapidly, they needed a product built, a first version of their product built, uh, pretty much within 2 weeks. And we were able to do that for them. It wasn't the ultimate end goal of the product. It's not the product they have now. We've been working with them for, a long time now. Um, but just with operating from these agile principles, me being really involved, making sure I understood the needs that they had and was able to communicate those to developers. So, it's critical to have someone, and this is a big part of the band of coders model. Critical to have someone who understands the business side,
Mm-hmm.
who can also translate that to the developers and translate the developer speak back to the business side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what enabled us to move so quickly and get that product out to the market for them within 2 weeks.
Wow. And so you really are like an extension of, companies' teams, an extra set of hands. And I think that's really important. You touched on kind of that quick turnaround time because, there are, we're in the middle of Q4 right now. So, what are some other suggested services that can be turned around quickly if a company only has, 2-3 weeks to execute a project?
Yeah, so it all depends on the scale of the business.
Mhm.
Some bigger companies that sometimes, for many different reasons, have to move a little slower. Sometimes what can be incredibly valuable at this point is investing in some planning and getting some outside perspective from us, uh, to look at their product, look at their goals, and say, okay, let's figure out a roadmap together for the rest of this. Let's figure out, you know, a strategy for that new idea, that new feature, that new product, that new AI model that you guys want to build. Let's do that together, or we can even take the driver's seat on that. But of course, we want you to be involved. Um, we want to build what's going to be best for your business.
Mhm.
So you have to be involved, but we will, we can augment that as much as you need.
Great. So, beyond potentially working with Band of Coders during Q4, what else would you recommend companies do during this time?
So I think a lot of it comes down to, uh, it's a good time to start having a bit of a retrospective. What went well? What could we do better?
Mhm.
And what that can lead into, especially with these, action items that you can do in Q4, is you do that retrospective and you understand, okay, what went well, what could be better, what could we do different. Um, you can start figuring out ways to make that happen for Q1. Um, and we can also help with that. We can step in and look at the history of your team, how things have gone, provide insights that we've acquired from doing this for hundreds of different companies.
Mhm.
We've seen the way a lot of different teams operate, so
Mhm.
we have a lot of insight that we can offer.
Great. So, any final advice do you want to end on for companies to think about as they wrap up Q4 and start thinking about planning initiatives for the new year?
Sure. So I think we've talked about a lot of different ways that Band of Coders can help companies in Q4 here.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things I would say to anyone watching this, listening to this on the recording, whatever, reach out to us. You know, there might be ways that we can help that that we discover together.
Mhm.
We can provide a lot of value just with that outside perspective, the many years of experience that we have collectively that we can bring into your organization, and of course scaling and all that stuff that we do anyways. Um, but like really, it just starts with a conversation.
Great. Great. And what is the best way to get in touch with the Band of Coders team?
Sure. So you can give us a call from our number on our website.
Mhm.
Reach out to us through bandofcoders.com.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Great. All right. Well, I think you've given some great insights for people to think about and for companies to think about as they look at their Q4 budget and what to do. So thank you, Steve. And as mentioned, people can visit bandofcoders.com to learn more about the services that Band of Coders offers, as well as schedule a call with one of the team members to start thinking about Q4 planning and activities. So thank you for your time, Steve. Very
All
helpful.
right. Yep. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks,
Of
everyone.
course. All right. Thank you.